Alright, Scipio2 here. We're going to try a quick little video look at a project I did a few months back. I actually had a question regarding it the other day, so I feel kind of inclined to answer. This is my Smith & Wesson M&P45. As you can see, it has the relatively new APEX Flatty trigger in there, and it's not just the Flatty trigger, but it is the complete forward set Seer kit with their competition spring system in it. I'm going to show you basically what that looks like. Firearm's clear, there's no mag, so nobody's going to get hurt. But essentially this gun, aside from the APEX system, is stock, and the sights, of course, those are the True Glow bright sights, red front, green rear. Love these sights, can't say enough about them. But back to what we were initially here to talk about. The APEX forward set Seer and competition kit includes the new rounded striker blocker, which I hand polish. As you can see, it's pretty super shiny there. The spring for it is also replaced with a specific to the competition kit spring. It's separate from the forward set Seer kit spring. There is a new striker spring, which is substantially lighter than the factory one. I couldn't tell you exactly what the poundage is on it, but it's way softer. So much so that you may occasionally find yourself catching a light strike. I've had that happen a couple times, but it's not so significant that I'm overly concerned about it. Also, in the work of installing the APEX, I polish the face of this right here, this outer surface, to make it as shiny mirror bling bling as possible. And I also make sure this edge is equally as polished. This is the face of the striker. Other than that, recoil spring, recoil rod, barrel, everything else in here is stock. Nothing else to really make a difference or write home about, whatever. The trigger itself obviously is replaced with the new flat trigger. I really like this trigger. I really liked the original APEX triggers, both in composite and aluminum, and I thought there was no way it could be better. I find that the flat face trigger actually fits my trigger finger better because of it being actually more forward in the trigger guard. Less of this kind of wraparound deal like so. But anyway, so you get that trigger. You get the new trigger spring, or trigger return spring, which is that one right there. You get the new hardened forward set Seer, which I guess isn't actually new, but it's new in the sense that it's a replacement. The forward set Seer is specific for the 45, whereas the forward set hardened APEX replacement Seer for the 9 and the 40 is the same. You get a new spring that goes underneath of that, excuse me, and then you get an additional spring for the RAM device if your gun is equipped with the frame lock that basically makes the gun inert. You could buy the APEX RAM, which helps pronounce the reset of the trigger. I don't have that feature, so I can't really go into all that and how that works. So you end up with one spring left over. Don't be disheartened or freaked out. When installing this, the trigger bar here, you want to, or maybe you don't want to, but what I do is this upper face on this hook piece, you want to polish that and make that shiny bling bling glossy as possible. I also polish the back side of the bar, not that it makes any contact inside the frame, but if it did, it would be smooth and slick. I also polish the contact points up here where it mounts to the trigger, you can see that silvery, shiny, chromy piece. That's the other end of the trigger bar where I polish it. Not that it pivots much, but any contact point, in my opinion, you want as smooth as glass or better. Back here in the trigger pocket, the spring that is under the Seer has a metal nub. Most people would call it overkill, but I polish that as well because it's what rides on the back of the Seer itself. So I want to be sure that that contact point is smooth. This feature here on the trigger bar, which is a loop, kind of a shepherd staff or candy cane as many people refer to it, I polish all the contact points and faces of it. And when doing all this work on the trigger bar, you want to make sure you do not bend this up or torque this out of spec, because you'll find yourself fighting to get your gun working again. Been there, done that. Trial and error is a pain in the butt. But as long as you keep that shape stock and just polish it up, you're probably going to be good to go. Every once in a while you'll find one that needs a little minor tweaking to make sure it tips the Seer just right. And it's not that big a deal once you know what you've gotten yourself into. But anyway, be advised of that if you're doing one of these at home. So anywho, that's all the springs and the components that are replaced. Let's put it back together and see what the results are. I'm sorry, I forgot who it was specifically who asked me to do this, but this video is basically for you. So, gun's clear, it's cocked. I've got my Lyman digital trigger gauge. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Wait for it to set up. Okay, I like to do a 5-pull average, so we're good to go here. Clear out anything that's in memory. Gun is cocked. Hit ready. And we'll go ahead and give it a snag. 1 pound, 15.6 ounces. Recock the gun. Hit ready. Do it again. 2 pound, 1.4 ounces. Cock the gun. Hit ready. Give it a pull. 1 pound, 14.3 ounces. Cock the gun. Hit ready. Give it a pull. 1 pound, 15 ounces. Cock the gun. Hit ready. Give it a pull. 1 pound, 11.8 ounces. I think that's enough. We get the point here. Let's hit the average. That's a 1 pound, 14.8 ounce trigger pull. You really have no appreciation how, I'll go ahead and say it, stupidly light and soft that trigger is. You really don't. When I first put this together, I was told to expect somewhere around 3 pound trigger pull. With the extra polishing work, you may have it down, you know, sub 3s, low 2.5, something like that. And when it started averaging out at 2 pounds, give or take, I was just completely blown away. So, gun's cocked, obviously clear. Here's what it looks like. Here's the safety. Obviously, without putting your finger across it, you can't pull it. Gun has fired. Now, pay attention to this. You didn't hear that, and I assure you, I barely felt it. Is one thing I do not like about the Smith & Wesson trigger or the APEX system. The reset in it is very, very mild. You could say almost non-existent. But, yeah, other than that, I don't have any gripes about it, other than the fact that it might be too soft. So anyway, gun's cocked, take up the safety, take up what little slack there is, click, and then it falls dead. Gun fires, it cocks, your finger pressure is still on it, you release your finger pressure, let it come out, and right there it is. That's all there is to it. The trigger is so insanely soft that it is very easy to catch negligent discharges. I mean, there's no other way of saying it. More than one occasion have I been presenting this gun on a range, downrange, from the bench or whatever, and as I was going to line up my sights, putting my finger to the trigger to take up my tension, and had the gun go off before I was 100% ready and expecting it. And I'm not the only one. Many people have tried it just because they couldn't believe it was that soft, it was that short, everything else. They wanted to see it for themselves. I've seen it happen quite a few times. This was originally, the intention of this was going to be set up as competition gun or whatever, but the trigger is too soft. Too soft. I get a chuckle and a laugh out of it every time I pull it. It's that insane. But anyway, I love the trigger. I love the feel. But with the way it's set up, with the competition springs and the additional polish work, it's too soft for any practical purpose. So I think what I'll probably end up doing is replacing the trigger return spring, since that will beef up the weight substantially. Probably keep the rest of the competition springs in there and just replace that one, and that should put it back to 3.5 pounds. I'm thinking maybe 4. We'll see. If and when I do that, I'll do a follow-up video. But in the meantime, and again, I apologize, I don't remember what your name is. I'll research that and tag you in this video specifically. But that's the APEX Flatty trigger. That's what it looks like. That's how it works. That's what you could expect if you go this route. If you stick with just the forward set Seer kit, I've installed quite a few of those, not using the competition springs, and with everything else, including the polishing work and so forth, you're looking at a high 3-pound, very, very low 4-pound trigger. And without the polishing work, simply swapping out the parts, you're looking at a mid-4 to maybe a 5-pound trigger. Maybe. Very few of them have actually cracked 5 pounds with just the forward set Seer drop-in kit. But anyway, hope that answers your questions. Hope the rest of you cats out there enjoyed what you saw or you got a little something out of that. If you have any questions, by all means, feel free to drop them. We do our best to respond and answer in kind. But as always, all you people out there in YouTube land, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And God bless. Thanks for watching.